Hi guys, how are you doing today? Welcome back to a random lifestyle vlog, and yes, it's still me, just without makeup. There is a reason for that. I'm going to be testing some new products, and that kind of like requires bare face. So I'm going to test a few of the new Nars products, and that's going to be, let me just start with this one here. That's going to be a foundation. This is Soft Matte Complete Foundation, and there is that. Then we're going to test their concealer. This is Soft Matte Complete Concealer. Then something I've wanted to try for a while, and this is Soft Matte Advanced Perfecting Powder. I've heard so many good things about it, so obviously I had to try it. And then lastly, we're going to try out this Nars Orgasm Foreplay Blush Quad. So there is that. A little disclaimer here, I like to think I'm good in like blind buying like makeup, kind of like, you know, finding the right color for my skin tone and stuff like that. And it turns out that maybe it's just time to go back to like classic shopping, because with Nars they did surprise me quite a few times. I'm going to like show you everything and you'll see, but I think, you know, the skill I acquired during the lockdown, I think it's just time to kind of go back to normal and test things before buying. But anyway, I mean, we'll see, right? It might actually work better than I thought. We're going to start with the foundation, obviously. So the one I've got is in shade, it's medium 3, shade Stromboli, and this is the first one I had a little bit of a problem with because it does seem very yellow. So this is supposed to be medium with yellow undertones, which, I mean, technically my skin is medium with yellow undertones. This is also like a lighter medium, so it's going to be, should be perfect for that time of the year when I don't really have like any suntan or like fake tan. And I thought it should be alright, but it does seem a little bit too yellow. We're going to have a look and test it out though, because I haven't yet. I just kind of had a little swatch. So let's try it out. So this is definitely not a perfect match for my skin tone, but it's much better than I thought it would be. So let's try it out over my face. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this foundation on the left side of my face so we can just compare how it looks. I'm just going to apply this side of my face with the sponge for like a lighter application, and then we're just going to use a brush on the other side of my face. Okay, so this is the side of my face with the foundation on, and I have to tell you, I actually like how natural it looks. It has this kind of like nice light to medium coverage. I did not really use that much product. I applied it with this wet sponge, so obviously the application will be much lighter. So yeah, so far I'm actually quite happy. I wish I had chosen the color more carefully, but it is what it is. It's not bad. I think I'm just going to make it work. Okay, let's finish my face. Let's apply this foundation on the other side of my face. This time I'm going to use a brush. By the way, guys, I'm the prime example where you should always test your foundation like over here, never like anywhere else in your face, because you know, you might have like a little bit different colors in your face. So for example, I have this like redness here, which is like quite noticeable. I mean, this is not something that's like always with me. Today it's just like quite like flared, but like there are days that this doesn't really show up that much. But if I test this foundation over here, it will just be like completely off. The thing is, the redness on my cheeks give my skin in this area very kind of cool on undertone, even though like generally like my whole body and the rest of my face is very warm. So yeah, just a good example of why you should never test your foundation in kind of like random areas of your face. It's just best to stick to this part here. So let's apply it with a thick brush. The one I'll be using is Morphe M439. Okay, so look how nicely it covered the redness on my cheek. It's not always visible, so it's very difficult to cover it with just a foundation, because sometimes I'm just covering something that will potentially happen during the day. But today I had my cheeks quite flared, so you can actually see how nicely this covered all the redness, so that's nice. I'm not sure if you can see that properly, but there's a little bit more coverage on the brush side, but that's like a normal thing. I do prefer this side here. It's like more natural, more glowy. This one is a little bit like less natural, but that's just like a personal preference. But yeah, I actually like the formula of this foundation. I like how it sits on the face. It's going to be like a perfect kind of like all year rounder. It's not too heavy, it's quite natural, but it has quite a good coverage as well. So yeah, I'm actually quite happy with that, and I'm actually playing with like some different colors as well. Okay, so we're moving on to the second product that we're going to test today, and this is a concealer. And this one was the most confusing for me because I got something that was supposed to technically be like for these shades, for the kind of like a lighter medium shades, this was supposed to be the brightening concealer. The one I have is light 2.8 marron glacé. Marron glass. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but that one, 2.8 anyway, and it just doesn't really seem very light. Let me just show you. Like, how is this supposed to be brightening on my skin? This is literally my skin shade. I mean, I know I only have myself to blame, like no one actually really chose this for me. I kind of like made this kind of like a little bit of uninformed decision, I suppose, because I based it on like pictures and whatever like was set on the website. But truth to be told, I should have gone to the department store and just have a look at it. But I did not, so I mean, I have to live with what I have here. I don't think it's going to be very brightening, but I'm still quite curious how this is going to work on my skin. And you know what? It actually could be a brightening concealer once I get some suntan, so yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's test it out. I'm going to use the Spectrum A18 brush, which is quite like a dense one, so let's see. It is slightly brightening actually, so I'm surprised, but like in a good way, okay? Because I did not really expect much after like seeing it for the first time. I was like, wow, this is going to be like literally my skin tone, but it is slightly brightening. And what I usually do when I use my concealer, I usually go a little bit deeper here. Because of the redness I have on my cheeks, and I don't usually go for like very kind of like with like a very high coverage foundation. I prefer more natural look, but this foundation has quite a good coverage with natural look as well. So I'm not really going to go that low with my concealer. I'm just going to highlight this kind of like under eye area only, and I'm obviously going to apply some on my eyelids as well. Okay, so I just applied the concealer. I'm just going to blend it in as well in a second, but I just kind of wanted to show you. I can definitely see the difference. This eye is like generally brightened. It's not like a very like extremely brightening concealer, but that's, you know, the choice of the color literally. But yeah, it actually looks quite nice. It has like a really nice coverage to it, so if you need some extra kind of help with like covering the under eye area, this should actually do quite good. Okay, so I'm actually quite impressed. It nicely covered all the kind of like darker areas around my eyes. I'm not sure how well it's going to work on my eyelids because it might be a little bit too thick for like, at least for my preferences, but I mean, it looks alright for an under eye concealer for sure. Okay, let me just finish the other eye now. Okay, so let me just dim the light a little bit so that you can maybe see this a little bit better. This is like my face with a foundation and the concealer under my eyes. I like it. I like it so far. I think it actually looks quite nice, like everything together. So I was like really scared, but then I'm actually quite happy with the results so far. So I heard so many good things about this powder. I kind of knew I had to try it. So this is how it looks. I have this in shade Creek, and this one again was a little bit tricky when it comes to like choosing the right shade. This is the shade I chose, and let me tell you why I found it difficult. So technically we have 8 shades to choose from. There are 3 light tones, like one of them is like very light to light, and we have like 2 light ones, 2 medium ones, and 2 medium, like deep medium shades. So I would naturally gravitate towards medium. That would be just my natural kind of choice, but the 2 medium shades are definitely way too dark for my skin tone. Like I just wouldn't be able to pull it off even in like summer. So obviously I would have to choose one of the like light shades, right? So here we have Cliff, which is a very light to light with neutral tone, which obviously is going to be too light for me. Then we have Cove, which is light with warm tone. And then we have Creek Light with Cool Tone. So again, I should naturally pick up the one with a warm undertone, but this one is definitely much lighter than Creek. So I kind of find it a little bit confusing. I wasn't really sure whether I should choose Cove, which was like, it seemed like too light for me, but it had this like warm undertone, or should I just go with Creek, which is more like my skin kind of like shade appropriate, and it has this cool undertone, which I don't know. I got like really confused. I decided to go with Creek, which is the one with cool undertone. So I'm not really sure how this is going to work. But since I have this kind of like yellowy foundation, maybe this will kind of neutralize it, or it will just look like disaster. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is the shade we're talking about. It is quite light, as you can see, but obviously this is a kind of like a finishing or like mattifying powder, so it shouldn't really be too dark or anything. Okay, so let's give it a go. I'm going to use it on my concealer for now. I just need to blend my concealer a little bit more now because it kind of dried out in my creases, which is not something I would like to, you know, keep. So I'm just going to use it on my concealer now, like over my concealer, and then I'm just going to try and use it on my T-zone, like after we like finish. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this one is actually really nicely kind of blurring. So if you need something that will just smooth your face, it will just make your pores like less visible, then this is definitely something you will probably like. So to be honest, I don't think this cool undertone is like too problematic for my skin. I think it looks alright, but I can definitely tell that the other shade, the one with the warm undertones, would be definitely too light for me. So this is the one that works with my skin tone. I think the medium ones will be definitely too dark. So yeah, it's a little bit like difficult to pick the right shade for you in terms of like these powders, but it does definitely give me this kind of like nice blurred kind of like look. So yeah, that is actually quite pretty. So technically this powder should be more suitable for like oily skin, or it's designed for like oily skin specifically, but it definitely doesn't seem drying. It's very kind of like finely milled. It does feel nice on my skin. So yeah, so far thumbs up. I'm actually quite happy with my choices up till now. I'm going to go back to the powder to, as I said, like just powder like my T-zone, but for now we're just going to go ahead and test out this Orgasm Foreplay blush quad, which is this one over here. And this one, I mean, again, I only have myself to blame because, you know, I saw it and I thought, wow, this one is actually so cute. But then I realized that two of these shades over here are actually Orgasm and Orgasm X, which I have both of them. So I'm not really sure why I bought it, but it looks pretty, right? Let me show you. So these are the shades. I actually dabbed my fingernail in here by accident, so just ignore that. But as you can see, it actually looks really pretty. Apart from these two Orgasm shades I mentioned before, we have Orgasm Rush, which is this one over here. And then we have Swinger, which is this highlighter here. So is it pretty? Very much so. Do I need it? Definitely not, but that is fine. So I don't really have eye makeup, so I can just literally use whatever. I'm going to go ahead and use this shade over here, which is Orgasm Rush, because I haven't tested it yet. The other two are actually really beautiful. I like both Orgasm and Orgasm X. They're just so stunning, but I'm going to go ahead with this one now. So since I'm not going any contouring now, I'm just going to apply this blush like higher here on my cheekbones. That will actually contour my face slightly. So yeah, that's actually really pretty. If you are a fan of Orgasm blush and like all the variations, then I guess this palette could be great for you if you just maybe want to stock up on Orgasm, although I don't know who actually needs to stock up on Orgasm. If you buy like any advent calendars, beauty boxes or whatever, I'm sure you have a couple of like minis. But it's actually quite pretty. I'm just going to go crazy and use a little bit of this like Orgasm, like classic Orgasm shade on my up of my cheek here, just to add a little bit of glow, because, you know, why not? We're just testing things out now, so it doesn't really matter that much. This one is definitely much glowier than the Orgasm Rush. And then just blending everything together. And let's go ahead and use the Swinger shade as a highlighter. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of here. Okay, so that is actually quite surprising, because this is not very pigmented, but it is quite glowy. It's like this very kind of subtle sun-kissed glow, which is very pretty. But for some reason I thought this would be more pigmented, you know, but it's not. That's not a bad thing though. That's not a bad thing though. It depends on your like preferences or your like mood. But I'm just going to apply a little bit here as well. Yeah, that actually looks quite pretty. I mean, look how glowy it is. I haven't blended it out yet. I always like blend things together before I just like finish my makeup, but I kind of wanted to show you like the glow. Okay, so there you go, everything like blended nicely. I actually really like this palette, I have to say. I mean, I don't necessarily maybe need all 4 shades in here, but look at this highlighter. It just gives like this really lovely glow, but it does not really have this like crazy pigmentation. It doesn't really look like you just like literally applied something on your face. It's very kind of natural, very beautiful. The blush, the Orgasm Rush, is actually really pretty as well. The other 2 shades are brilliant as well, but I already have them. But all in all, I think this is a really lovely palette. So, do you know what? I'm actually way happier with this makeup haul than I expected to be. Everything actually worked quite well. So yeah, let's finish this off with the powder again. But I'm just going to apply this on my T-zone to see how it mattifies my skin. I don't really need much of it because my skin is more like dry. My skin is dry, okay? It's not it's not oily, but I do use like proper skincare before my makeup, so sometimes I get a little bit of like this kind of like unnecessary like glowiness or like oiliness on my T-zone. But it definitely seems to be like nicely mattifying, and it's blurring as well, so the pores are going to be like less visible, so it seems like it's actually worth the hype. Okay guys, so these are all 4 new Nars makeup products tested. Have you tried any of these? Let me know what you think about them in the comment section down below. I have to say I'm quite impressed. I mean, I was super excited when I saw these products, and then I just ordered them and I saw the colors and I was like, okay, this is going to be an epic fail, but it's not. It actually, like, everything worked quite nicely. Even the foundation, I mean, yes, it is a little bit like yellower than my like natural skin tone, but I feel like it actually works quite nicely. The powder is brilliant. It's going to be perfect if you need to kind of like mattify and kind of like blur your skin. The concealer was actually again better than expected, and it was in fact brightening, even though it just seemed like a little bit darker than expected at first. And then the blush quad is just so pretty that I'm not even going to be complaining about the fact that I already own the 2 shades, which was like honestly my mistake only. Okay guys, so this is everything from me today. I'm not going to be finishing my makeup, I'll do that in a separate video, but thank you very much for watching. For more makeup related videos, check these ones over here. I'm going to see you very soon. Take care. Bye.